Hello. This is what I've been cooking on Idul Fitri. I managed to make this myself. Me, someone with zero creative skill in just 1 week. I've always been interested in the VTuber landscape, for better or worse. But I have the same problem that everyone always has.
Money!
Part of the reason why I kept using the Patapon avatar despite expecting it to be a one-time joke. I use it as a PNG tuber and an avatar in my videos because it's easy to set up. I could maybe upgrade that model to have more expression, or perhaps upgrade to a Toontuber by Scott Falco. Honestly, I actually made a rigged 3D model of that guy on Blender as well. I don't know why I never used it. But yes, you might be asking, oh, 3D, huh? Why? This guy seems to be fixated on the 3-dimensional plane. Yes, I can't. I was about to make a 4D joke, but you wouldn't be able to see them. Why not 2D? Apart from the tool to rig live 2D models that looks like the inside of a cockpit, I am also inspired by the many old school stylistic 3D models that kept popping up in my YouTube recommendation. I swear to God, the alphabets are listening inside my walls. The fact that these simple looking models are so beautiful despite the lack of triangles, it kinda turned a screw in my head that tells me it must be easy to make these simple looking models. And they are pretty to boot. I'm sure a newbie like me could make one. Fuck, I spent 1 week just to solve one problem. Damn you, Blender. But that's actually a lie. I didn't make this in Blender. I made this in Blockbench. I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty yet. I'm just gonna glaze over everything quickly. In short, I chose Blockbench because it's a lot simpler than Blender. Blender is powerful, don't get me wrong, but with great power comes great confusion for beginners. It's like a UI from a goddamn sci-fi film. So why not just use Spheroid? Good question, Iono. I could make arguments like, can they make eyes like this? Can they make mouth like this? But I've never touched it. I'm not just interested in VTuber, mind you. Remember how the alphabets brainwashed me with PSX era style? It worked. It made me want to grab my hand on 3D modeling as a whole. Made 3 models total in my life so far, and it's been so much fun. Despite me not... I've said it before, but I'm not an artist. I am close with high school art classes to technical drawing classes in college, but I've never picked up on it despite what many would say a fated occasion, destiny. Contrary to my friends who have innate talent, lots of artists don't like that word. It's like their Winter Soldier episode for it, or are just highly motivated despite the lack of usefulness of the skill in their daily life. I tried my hand sometimes, but it never felt fulfilling. My motivation would usually run out before I finish a sketch, and I tried going to other art-related endeavors like AI art, that's a joke, graphic design, game dev, logo making, but it never clicked. It's not like I hate art or creative things, or else I wouldn't be here bothering myself with making a video. That's one thing I managed to stick around, one thing until today, honestly. I have always been interested in trying to get my hands on 3D art. I get the feeling it would be easier for me to get my hands on it. Finally seeing the other side of the creative work from a rose-tinted glass, it feels like a door to a new world finally opened. I can't really put it into words except it's fun. Contrary to 2D art where you go back and forth between a mistake and a progress on a project, 3D art for me feels like a continuous progress no matter how many mistakes you make, since you can just move the vertices around if you misplace it. Am I making sense? The point of failure feels so much lesser and the setbacks are a lot closer to the last point of progress. I know all of this sounds like, get off your high horse, it doesn't even look good or right. I know. Like I said, I'm still new to this, please be kind, and I am planning on improving further down the line. I followed this tutorial for the first 2 model I made in Blender, and this video by Brandon for this model in Blockbench. That is until I realized, oh shit, they only taught me how to model. Yeah, I only love the modeling part. Anything else is like trying to figure out how to understand the 4th dimension all over again. I ended up spending 70% of my time trying to figure out how to make this model into a VTuber. So many tutorials, man, so many bugs, so many troubleshootings. I'll spare you the details, unless you want the details, but I managed to make this without Unity by using Miles VRM plugin for Blender and many more tutorials that I watch. Hopefully I managed to list them all down below. Like I said, I glossed over how I made this avatar for obvious reasons. This video could have been 1 hour long if I just talk how I made it. I feel like that should be an entirely different video, if even. That aside, I think that's all I have. Sure, I can just show off more inspiration, but I feel like if I share too much, I'm just openly profiling myself. Not to mention some of these VTubers will expose my taste. To name a few, Shindix is insane. I think he is a PNG YouTuber, but what's insane is how he set up his stream. He usually makes something that connects with his chat directly with his stream and sometimes with the game as well. Prechu is definitely my 3D modeling inspiration. If only she had a longer video so I can just copy everything that she does. Another is Snow Tenki. Then there is someone from Sketchfab, Tan. The way they made their low poly model, just look at them. I don't know how pros feel, but as a beginner, the way they make the ears, just 2 flat planes, that's genius. Why didn't I think of that? So what to expect with this new model? Honestly, nothing. What, you think I can keep cooking? I honestly don't know the advantage of having a more versatile model apart from the more dynamic movement. Hopefully I'll find a way to utilize it further down the line and upgrade my content as a whole. On that note, thanks very much for sticking till the end. Yapping is over. As you can see from my model, there are still quite a few improvements that could be made, whether from the technical standpoint or the concept as a whole. I'm not exactly the most fashionable, so this zero drip fitting is all I can master for now. Nor am I the most talented artist. Any feedback or recommendation is highly appreciated. Like, I notice my arm is clipping to my shoulder, or if you look closely, I don't have a neck. Or if you have any requests or question, do let me know. I don't know how much my experience of turning this up from Blockbench to VSF could help, but if I can give back to the community what I have learned, I would be more than happy to help. I might also make another video of the process like I promised, but that's still in the air. In any case, thank you so much for watching. If you'd like that, like and subscribe, that kind of stuff. Don't feel too forced for it though, just stick around if you'd like. I also stream on Twitch, feel free to drop by and say hi if I'm live. I'll be seeing you later then. See ya!